14 people. 13 people made by one person. Forewords. I don't know how many disclaims I can make for the uniqueness of this volume, but this may well be the first reference book to have acquired information outside of a bathroom. One day, this past spring, my wife emerged from the ladies' room and our local movie theater said jokingly, "If you have any question for Kim Depley," I just ran into her. "I do have a question for her." I exclaimed that I was waiting so I could ask why some of the filmographers listed her as being the red sky at the morning 1970, when I could find no trait of her in the cast of Leslie. This Damela, this this that Emma has rendered its head just 2 days earlier. The friendly Miss Depley smiled and explained that she was uncontracted. Contracted. Um, to Hollow Wallace at the time has been stipulated to make the red sky, but it got of her the commencement in order to appear the Chrysler gangs for Robert Average instead. Apparently, one referee book claimed her credit from the early gas announcement and the others respected the error. Until now, how many generations of film researchers will thanks me for this? I don't know, but I do know that a reference book is made up of a thousand upon a thousand of such a fact. Some of them made as important in the greater centuries of things, but is a truth. Each one bears equal weight. The goal is simple: getting it right all of it is if possible. Why even attempt of an encyclopedia of this kind? One of motivations, I must admit it, was this satisfaction with some similar books of the market. In a computer-driven age of information, teaches a belief that credit sort of the scientist. That's how one book, the fourth, folded the credit for the producer Bentley's Scatwagons into the films of Tony Kroos, who was born with that the same name. Similarly, screenwriting credit for Arthur Mars turned up into the filmography of his uncle Hepburn. Another reason was the update and apparently the work of such yellowly mad researcher as related Interhalf Cats and Listy Harold Well. No one who compiles this kind of book can fail to be in their doubt. My challenge was to produce an original work that would have contemporarily the edge without the ignorance of the past. Achieving that the barristers was difficult. I admitted to giving a 500-page account, but I think of my college and I have to manage to strike a very happy medium. John Singleton and Tim Stapleton are here, but so the bustly, the bucketedly and sensual pens. The Encyclopedia is on to the American mainstream, but we tried to introduce a representative figure from the world of independent and documentary film, as well as the key names from a B-movie of the past. I'm sorry we couldn't have included even more in every field. This book instead as a film related, but seems foolish to inclusive of subject major accomplishness. In theaters of television, I particularly wanted to acknowledge the huge arena of the made-for TV movie, which has been ignored in many rivalry books. In addition, A number of the major directors have made music videos, which I thought were mentioning, along with the actors credited for feature film, released direct of a home video. I also felt it was important to add the press separated to our write-ups so that they would offer more than have a merely launcherly list of the credit. That's why so many actors rose up described it and why this significant achievement in every career are designed out. Finally, I wanted to add sidelight and footnote whatever is possible to flesh out our entries. It's interesting to know that one of the composer John Williams' early credit was playing the piano on Henry Matlin recordings of a Peter Drum theme, and that's the theater in the Southern California bears the name of the actor Richard Bass Harv. Why also stop to decide for traveler? I think that these nuggets of information are both useful and fun. Ah, but verifying all this information, that's another matter. Some facts are easy to find out or double check, others come out of left field. When I was just waiting to the interview of Donnie Lettrell several years ago, the actress and scientist said to me, you know, almost every years ago, the actress and scientist, I mean, you know, almost every reference book has her real names wrong. I asked how that was, and she had explained that Raphael's first husband was a band leader who used the stage name Henry Chaos. His real name was the Ken Myers, and somewhere along this line, someone printed this as Retro Manor's name. In fact, she was born to Central Salenton. Only a chance confederation that enabled me to avoid the errors in this volume. A bit of the street palette allowed me to learn that the late writer-director Richard Brooks has invented his own name. A college's attention to his memorable serve, which this in fact was publicly revealed for the first time. As a result, I believe I am the first public he's given the name, Robert Sa. Some errors of inevitable, it seems, in the work of the site and struck by the date, but the birth date and birthplace are particular minefield. Look up a birth date for actors and move more than one sort of book, and the chance are you will find at least one disrespectfully, maybe two or three. We made literally the hundreds of telephone call, all of the world to find, confirm, and reconfirm this information. 200 agents, manager, publicans, parents, hold the record, and even the individuals themselves. Sometimes we're called the people read headings of pamphlet about this birth dates. While we are on the subject of the date, please note that for a movie read separately the year of the release there, the country of origin, which may differ from the U.S. release date. This consent within the mention we use in the movie and the video guides. To amateurs, accumulate of a thousand of verified information is no easy task, and I couldn't have it accomplished this alone. Knowing the person knows everything about every subject, and was it vital to have a broad base of input, as well as a system across the checked. I was lucky to call up a swamped support teams of film buff and writer. Many of the ones have also worked with me of my movie and video guides. Luke Sater's a watchful eye. Caroline Anderson, willingness to learn more than she ever wanted to know about who was born where, and when Ben Harold's delegations Bill Warren. search for the lean modules. In everything interlaces are all combined and strengthen the main the material in this page without intrusions and in fact focuses separate green. However, this book is might not exist at all. His willingness to devote himself to the project and at the casual moment made all the difference in the world. I can never thank him rightly enough. After an international preparing it and written of this volume, came what I were laughingly referring to as the finishing stage. For the better part of the years, my life was not my own. I have a lot of catching up to do with my wife, Aleph, and the daughter Jessie. But I know they share my purpose and have complete the book you hold in your hands. On a personal note, this book was completed during the latter part of 1983 and the first half of 1984. Every effort was made to keep our entries as current as possible, but for the most part, we choose to leave out the work in the process because there's so much that can happen in the film lifetime. People quit, people passing, titles change, and so on. Every day I'd like to see Derry Vesley, the Hollywood reporter, and I wanted to add hours of write-up. After a while, I thought of the process as a written as quicksand. We didn't manage to incorporate a lot of up-to-date material. However, I think this will be help to make our book both viral and informative. Thank you for joining us on our Matters Voyage.